land of ice and snow, a Viking appeared in the frozen mist with a chef's knife and sauté pan. Well, okay, from warm Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that same Viking, now with thinner blood, brings you a Viking's Kitchen.
Time to make, I like to call it sauce, some people call it gravy, but we're gonna start with a basic roux. Remember this, if you can master 5 of the basic sauces, you can make any sauce in the world. Remember that simple. Well, it's not that simple, it's very complex, but if you master them, we're gonna start with butter. We're making a brown or a light brown roux. You'll hear the term clarified butter sometimes. What is clarified butter? It means it can see very clearly. It's kind of like a shaman, no, I'm teasing. It's, you let butter come up to temperature very slow on the back burner and let it set for a long time. You'll see a little raft floating on the top. That raft is the impurities of the butter. So you'll get a little bit higher smoking temperature by utilizing that without the raft than just starting with butter like this. Okay, the butter's melted, but it hasn't browned yet. Gonna add some all-purpose flour. Do not use bread flour for this. You'll see people make gravy. They'll just throw flour right in the pan and then add the stock. They didn't cook the starch out of it, and sometimes that's why you get that real starchy taste in the sauce, gravy. It didn't have the chance to be cooked out. This will vary not only in look, but in smell. This is close to what you would call a blonde roux. So if we're just passing that right now into a light brown. So if you were making a cream sauce, that's when you would start to add the milk at the blonde stage. You can see it starting to slowly turn brown, light brown. What's going to happen is when it's ready, it's going to smell like hazelnuts. You don't want to walk away from the range either, because it will burn. It'll look okay on the surface, but it won't be underneath. We're about there. The smell is hazelnuts. It's a wonderful smell. Okay, we're gonna add the stock. This is gonna jump a little bit, so don't get scared. And the reason I'm making this in a large sauté pan is so that you can see the process better. Usually I'd make it in a deep 5-quart saucepan. The amount of roux that you make, which is the butter flour mixture, will dictate how thick it gets compared to the amount of stock that you use. Now you'll see me using real chicken stock. Thanksgiving, a lot of other times too, people don't have the time to make chicken stock. It takes an hour and a half, you gotta have the carcass and the mirepoix. You can use chicken stock that comes in 32-ounce boxes or the 14-ounce cans. Just make sure it's low sodium, not loaded with no MSG or anything like that. And always go for the stock if you can instead of the broth. Now there is a bone marrow broth that is very good, and you get a different flavor out of that. So what we're gonna do is slightly bring this to a light rolling boil and then turn it down to simmer. But when we get to the light rolling boil, that's when we're gonna add salt and white pepper. You notice I said white pepper. You don't wanna see the pepper flakes inside this, it's a sauce. Also, white pepper has a different taste to it. And you'll notice I'm using regular iodized salt instead of the pink Himalayan salt that you hear me talk about all the time. That's what you're gonna want for this. I've tried it with the pink Himalayan salt. It's okay, but it's not as good as the standard old iodized salt. Now you can see this thickening up. I don't like it super, super thick. So we're at a rolling boil. We're gonna bring that down to a simmer. and season it. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt. White pepper. Smelling good. You can kind of smell what you're going to get from the steam. So, perfect coating. Look at that. See? This is going to thicken as it sets. Spot on. How'd I do that? Was it designed or is it a mystery? See, I like that with the steam coming up. It's kind of like cinematic, right? Good food is like a movie. Should be. Full of emotion, thought, care. You ever met someone that said, I don't care about food? I look at them like they're an alien, or I guess that I would be an alien looking at a human. I'm like, who is that creature? I don't understand it. Food is something you have to have. Have to eat it. You can't go without food. So why not make it the best it can be? We're going to let this go for about 4 or 5 minutes. Let the flavors come to 10 minutes. Let the flavors come together. You can let this on the stove. Remember, it will reduce the longer you let it simmer. So you'll get thicker and thicker and thicker. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe it isn't what you want. But in 5 to 10 minutes, you can use this as service. But we're going to transfer it here in a little bit to this glass bowl, and we got gravy. Okay, this has been setting for about 8 to 10 minutes. Nice consistency. We're going to go ahead and place it in the bowl. As you can see in the background, the turkey's done. So if you're just watching the gravy or sauce episode, well, yes, this is a full, we'll do several different things all for Thanksgiving, which is turkey, stuffing, dressing, mashed potatoes, gravy, sauce, and homemade cranberry sauce. Excellent. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the smell, wow. It's not that difficult to make these things. But the taste, completely different. Once you get used to eating food made from scratch, you'll never go back. Homemade sauce, what more do you want? Goes on a lot of things. Make it from scratch, make it real, make it your own. We'll see you around.